Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Think about our world for a second. It's kind of built on a one-way street, right? From the factory to our homes and then straight to the landfill. But what if we could bend that line? What if we could turn it into a circle? Well, today we are diving into a really powerful alternative, the circular economy.
So let's just start with a huge idea. I want you to imagine something. What if everything we call waste just wasn't? What if it was actually a valuable resource, just in the wrong place at the wrong time? It seems like a simple question, but man, it completely flips the script on how we look at everything we buy and use every single day.
All right, so to really get why this circular idea is so game-changing, we first have to get a solid handle on the problem. And the problem, well, it's the system we're all living in right now. You can call it our throwaway economy or, the linear economy.
Now, here's what's really wild, and honestly, a little bit terrifying. The World Bank did the math, and if we just keep doing what we're doing, global waste is set to jump by a massive 70% by the year 2050. That is an absolutely unsustainable mountain of trash that we're creating.
And listen, this is not some abstract number. Let's make it real. Think about the clothes you're wearing. The fashion industry alone generates 92 million tons of textile waste every single year. To put that in perspective, that is literally like a garbage truck packed with clothes being dumped in a landfill every single second.
So here's the blueprint for that system. It's super simple, and that's the problem.
It's a four-step, one-way street. We take resources from the planet, we make them into products, we use them, a lot of the time only once, and then we dispose of them. That's it. End of the line.
And the fallout from this system, it's huge. I mean, when we bury our garbage, we're not just losing all those materials forever. Landfills pump out methane, a seriously potent greenhouse gas. And if we burn our trash instead, well, that pollutes the air and leaves behind toxic ash. On top of all that, it makes our economies totally vulnerable to price spikes and resource shortages. The system is just fundamentally broken.
But, and this is a big but, what if we could redesign the whole thing from the ground up? Let's talk about the solution, because there is a much better way forward. This is where the circular economy finally comes into the picture. And the difference is just night and day. On one hand, you've got the linear economy. Take and toss. It's all about landfills, high emissions, and chasing short-term gains that lead to huge long-term costs. But on the other hand, you have the circular economy. It's all about reusing and regenerating. Landfills get replaced by recycling and remanufacturing. The whole goal shifts to long-term resilience, saving money, and creating real lasting value. It's a total system overhaul. This quote, this really captures the vision perfectly. It's not just about, getting better at recycling. It's about designing a world where the idea of waste just becomes obsolete. Because every single thing has value and is designed from the start to stay in a continuous loop. So how do we actually do this? Well, the circular economy is built on three really simple but powerful principles. And the key word for all of them is design. First, you design waste and pollution out of the system from day one. Second, you design products to be circulated, to keep them in use, not just through recycling, but through repair, reuse, and remanufacturing, which keeps their value high. And third, you actively work to regenerate nature, to give back instead of just taking. And really, that's the whole idea right there. This isn't just some nice theory. It's a practical roadmap for changing our economy from that dead-end, one-way street into a regenerative, closed-loop system that works with nature, not against it. Okay, so let's get practical. Let's dive into the tools that actually make this whole thing work. We're going to look at the big ideas and policies first, and then, this is the fun part, we're going to see it all come to life in a real-world example. So how do we actually flip the switch and turn waste into worth?
So this is basically the playbook. It's called the waste hierarchy. And the whole goal is to stay as high up on this ladder as you possibly can. See, right at the top, the absolute best thing you can do is prevention, just not making waste in the first place. Then you go down a step to reuse, then recycling. And way down at the very bottom, you see disposal, landfill. That's the total last resort. That's the option we want to design right out of the system.
But okay, you might be asking, whose job is all this? That's where a really smart policy called Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR, comes in. Basically, it shifts the responsibility and the cost of dealing with the product at the end of its life away from us, the taxpayers, and puts it back on the companies that made the thing. So for instance, a company might pay a small fee based on how much packaging it creates. That money then helps fund the recycling programs. It's a powerful incentive for them to design products that are way easier to reuse and recycle from the get-go.
All right, I know these concepts can feel a little bit abstract, so let's ground this in a real story, a case study that shows the circular economy in action. And it's an amazing story about turning a really big problem into a bunch of different valuable solutions.
To help us frame this, let's use a simple analogy. Cooking, right? You start with your inputs, your raw ingredients. Then you have a transformation process, chopping, heating, mixing it all up, and then you get your output, a delicious meal. The circular economy, you'll see, works in a very similar way.
Okay, let's walk through this amazing circular recipe step by step. The input is something we definitely think of as waste, human sewage. Seriously. The transformation happens inside something called an anaerobic digester, where tiny microorganisms break it all down without any oxygen. Now check out the outputs. First, you get biogas. That's a clean, renewable fuel you can use for cooking or making electricity. But wait, there's more. The second output is this nutrient-rich liquid. And in the final amazing step, regeneration, that liquid is used as a natural fertilizer in hydroponics to grow plants that produce fibers for textiles. We just turned a sanitation problem into clean energy and new materials. How cool is that?
And this example just perfectly highlights that fundamental mindset shift we've been talking about. In our old linear economy, sewage is this expensive, dangerous problem you have to manage. But in a circular economy, it becomes an incredible asset, a local, renewable source of both energy and raw materials.
So you see, this is so much bigger than just managing our trash better. This is about completely rethinking our relationship with everything. The materials, the products, and the systems that shape our entire world. And the benefits of making this shift? They are huge. We're talking about creating whole new industries and jobs, in repair, in remanufacturing, in recycling. It means building more stable, local supply chains that don't depend on digging up finite resources from the other side of the planet. And of course, by designing waste out of the picture, we are directly fighting climate change and pollution, and driving this incredible new wave of sustainable innovation.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The circular economy teaches us to see waste not as an end, but as a new beginning. So if we can turn something like sewage into clean energy and textiles, what other massive problems that we're facing today are actually just untapped resources, just waiting for us to find the right circular solution?